This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
All right, let's talk some college football. The season will be here before you know it. The bowl season will be here before you know it. We have some changes this year to the bowl games here in the Valley of the Sun. So let's bring in our distinguished guest, one of our favorite guys to talk football and life with, Erik Moses, CEO of the Fiesta Bowl. And you've been busy, so give us the latest and greatest here. Your schedule's going to change a little bit come around the first of the year.
Yeah, look, I'm just happy that I'm now being introduced as distinguished. Like, I don't know what I did, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it.
You're the first one of my friends who has ever gotten that title, so congratulations. But hey, when you're hosting two bowl games here in the Valley of the Sun, I mean that takes seriously rolling up your sleeves and going to work here. So it's been kind of fun. You've been on the job what now? Is this your second year and gotten quite a bit done here?
Yeah, second season. I've probably been here for about 18, 19 months now. It feels like a lot longer, thankfully, and I say that with respect. It's been a whirlwind. I mean, as you know, and thankfully have helped us to document and keep track of our industry, college football in particular, but college athletics in general, has been changing by the minute. I mean, by the time we finish this interview, something else would probably have changed in our world. And so keeping up with that while frankly kind of rebuilding, strengthening, enhancing our organization so that we are prepared to meet the moment for tomorrow and 5 years from now and 10 years from now, so that this organization can continue to make the impact that it's made for 53 years across the state of Arizona and on the college football world is really mission number one for us.
Well, and you have a great opportunity to do that, and you're kind of first ones into this new college football playoff system. So I want to talk about the Fiesta Bowl in just a second, the changing state of college football. But I also like to talk about Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Let's kick it off with that. You've got a time change there. How does that impact your ability to showcase that game?
Mark, I can't tell you how excited we are, man, to be able to have a daytime kickoff at 3:30 on December 26th down at Chase Field for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl this year. We have been in conversations with our partners at ESPN for years about seeking an earlier time. December in Arizona is a lot more temperate than it is in most other places around the country, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't benefit from an earlier time in order to kind of festivalize the game, in order to be able to lean into kind of the tailgate type experience and other things to get people outside downtown during that time of year. Coming right off of the Christmas holidays and the winter holidays, all of us need a little chance to get out there and work off some of that turkey and ham and the other stuff that we indulged in over the holidays, and coming out and seeing two of the best teams in college football play in a baseball stadium on a natural grass field is a great way to kind of help your holiday season really get kicked off.
Yeah, and we're excited about the kickoff time as well. We were always kind of sweating whether or not it was going to end in time for the Extra Point television show, the Valley's only nightly local sports show each night at 10:35. If I can plug our show here in our podcast. But as far as just, you mentioned the kind of festival atmosphere there. What will it look like in downtown Phoenix, and how long of a partnership do you have with it at Chase Field at this point?
So we are at Chase Field until for the next 2 years, and certainly always in conversation with our partners down at the D-backs and at Chase Field about extending that event. But as you know, I mean, the way that our contracts are working with the Big Ten and the Big 12, they are kind of simultaneously running along with the change in the format for the CFP. And so 26 will be a big year for us in terms of extending our participation in the college football playoff, as well as extending our second bowl game and making certain that we can have that for many, many years to come as well.
All right. So, yeah, it's good to have two. I mean, we could probably have three here if we really wanted to, but we don't want to make you we don't want to stress you out too much right now. If you need any help, with that third bowl game, I have some ideas.
Look, it's enough that we moved this year our Verbo Fiesta Bowl parade to December 28th. So that's going to have Guaranteed Rate Bowl on the 26th, the parade on the 28th, and then the Verbo Fiesta Bowl on the 31st. We're going to be busy around here, and the Valley's going to be on fire with college football and all of the pageantry that comes along with it. And we want people to show their pride in Arizona and come out and really support so that the rest of the country knows this is the place to be in December and around the holidays.
Well, it's going to be fun. I love having the bands there. That's my favorite thing, is having the college bands at the parade. I know the past couple of years, due to a number of factors, it's been earlier and we haven't had all of the bands there, and maybe even some of the football team shows up, and it's always a fun time here on Arizona's Family. I love a parade. I also love a playoff game for sure. So we have our first one in the new era of the college football playoffs. So excitement, how would you kind of term, there's some butterflies as you approach the hosting the playoff game here at State Farm Stadium?
Well, I think for our team, it is another example of doing what we have done for a very long time. We know how to execute very high quality college football games. Our partners at ASTA, at the Cardinals, at State Farm Stadium are well versed in doing that. So I don't think there's any concern with regard to putting on the game. I think we're all excited across college football with the expansion of the playoff system from 4 teams to 12 teams. It really gives us the opportunity to be able to not only give more games to hungry college football fans who always want more, but it also allows us to pull in what I call fans in waiting. Those fans who might not otherwise follow college football as closely, but they're the same people who get pulled in to March Madness every year because maybe I'm not a college basketball fan, but oh my God, did you see that 12 beat a 5 in the first round game or something like that? And this gives us the opportunity to have very similar storylines.
And when it comes to just the legacy of the Fiesta Bowl here, to be part of that rotation, what did it mean to kind of get that call or get the thumbs up there that the Fiesta Bowl will continue to be part of a big part of college football's bowl season? I mean, specifically the playoff, and to be part of that.
Well, it's clear evidence of the hard work done for 50 plus years by not only our 9 founders, but by the scores and frankly, hundreds and thousands of people across the Valley and the state who have supported this organization and this game throughout its existence. Many people don't know that of the New Year's 6 bowl games, the Fiesta Bowl is the youngest of them all. And in a very short period of time, our founders and those that have run this organization and have supported it over the years were able to catapult this game into the highest levels of college football. And that's something we should all be proud of. It says a lot for not only our game and our organization, but it says a lot for this state.
And when it comes to the game day experience, how do you think it will change going from kind of an exhibition when it wasn't a playoff game? It was an exhibition out here last year with Oregon beating Liberty, to being a game that means everything.
Look, our view is that every Fiesta Bowl is a big deal, and winning that Fiesta Bowl trophy, which by the way is the best trophy in all of athletics and certainly in college sports.
And tell Spirit hello, by the way. He's my favorite mascot.
I will. I'll see him a little later. We think the Fiesta Bowl and winning that is a great experience for student athletes, for their fans and coaches every year. Being a permanent part of the CFP playoff system means that every game in that playoff is a game of consequence in pursuit of a national championship. And we definitely feel like what we've been able to prove over the last 53 years warrants our inclusion in that circle and in that roundup every single year. So we have a lot of pride around that.
And will there be a concerted effort to kind of ring in the new year from the Fiesta Bowl? How will playing on New Year's Eve impact that time slot?
It certainly gives us some opportunities and options to provide even more value for fans, and especially those who are traveling in town to cheer on their teams. We want to make certain that we're working with partners around the Valley to give them something else to do and to celebrate. When people leave here from coming to a Guaranteed Rate Bowl or a Verbo Fiesta Bowl, we want them to think, when can I get back to the Valley? How soon can I get back to Arizona in order to have fun again? And hopefully also, come back to another game, because these games are good and they're going to be good year in and year out.
Yeah, and I've talked to numerous athletes that actually played in this game, and they say, I came out here for a bowl game and I stayed. And I think the Fiesta Bowl has had a big impact on the population growth out here. People come out here, for the big events and say, why am I not living out here? And they do move out here. As far as another playoff game, so it looks like it's set. How far out are the playoff games scheduled currently for the Fiesta Bowl with the college football playoff?
So what we're working on right now with the CFP are basically the deal terms for that would go from 2026 to 2032. So that would mean, including this year, 8 more years of us being one of the playoff games, and the rotation will be quarterfinal, semifinal. Now, because we just came off of what we call a host game, we've got the very first ever quarterfinal this year. And then in 2025, we're a semifinal game again. And then it would go quarterfinal, semifinal. And it's and your rotation.
And as far as the bidding process goes for the national championship game, are those waters we're swimming in yet here in Arizona?
We have certainly raised our hand and made it clear to the college football playoff that we are interested in hosting national championship games here in the Valley. We think we've done it really well for a very long time, and they are negotiating with individual cities across the country to host those. As you know, Mark, that's a separate process from our bowl games and from being included in the CFP. They treat those games just like the NFL does a Super Bowl, just like the NBA does All-Star games. They essentially put them out to bid and bid with various cities and host communities in order to lure those to various cities around the country.
When it comes to just the health and the state of college football, and you mentioned coming on the air here how everything's changing, it might change by the end of this interview. I would assume there's got to be some excitement that there's no, you have a playoff game, so you wouldn't think people would be opting out here. But you've also been vocal about different things that can be done in college football for athletes that are maybe going to the NFL to play in a bowl game that isn't, a playoff game like the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Where do we stand on that? How does NIL sort of affect where we're going here and where the bowl games are going here in the Valley of the Sun into 2030 and 2032, which sounds crazy to say out loud?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the short answer is TBD, right? Depending on where things land on NIL and what schools, what their sponsor partners and others and their bowl partners are or are not able to do to provide quote unquote incentives for players to play in particular games. Now, if things move forward and players become employees or are treated in that way, or there's a collective bargaining agreement that's hashed out between the NCAA or these conferences and some union or organization representing college players, then you can provide in that agreement that if you are healthy, you must play in playoff games, right? Just like you would have in an NFL contract or an NBA contract. And so I think that's one way that could be addressed. I think the other thing to note, and many people don't know this, but because the CFP is adding additional games, the amount of time that the teams will be in town for these various playoff games is going to shrink. Because they are looking to win and move on in the pursuit of a national championship. And so that part will ensure that those other games end up being games where you actually have more of the traditional bowl experience.
Yeah, and which is important. I mean, because how many guys actually go to the pros? And this is, I think Dabo Sweeney was talking about a couple of years ago that actually getting to enjoy the bowl experience. When it comes to just your conversations with the other folks in your position around the country that are running bowl games, how much, I guess, interest is there, wiggle room is there, for creativity as far as, not necessarily just incentives, but also ways that you can grow the game from maybe a financial, maybe a commercial perspective, partnering with different companies and the players, depending on whether or not they become employees.
Yeah, look, I think we're all in this. All of my colleagues who are in the bowl business are in it for similar reasons, and that is to ensure that we are providing positive economic impact to the communities in which our games are located, being able to pour back charitable resources into those communities, and essentially acting, as you alluded to earlier, as commercials for our states and our cities, so that people will come back and will visit and spend their time and their money in these various cities. And so we're all on the same accord as it relates to that. I think the second thing that binds us together is that we all view ourselves as partners in the enterprise that is college football. And so we have to think creatively, understanding the changes that are happening right now, and show ourselves willing to make changes in order to accommodate the new format, in order to accommodate new conference alignment, new rules around transfer portal, and all of those things that are, I won't say problems, I will say challenges for college football in terms of making it the strongest entertainment product that it can be, not just for those who are watching on television, but for those who would want to be in the stadium, feeling that energy and that passion that's on display at all of our games. So all of us are in one accord in doing any and everything that we can in cooperation with the CFP and the conferences to make these games as strong as they can be.
And I keep thinking, okay, it's going to calm down. It's going to calm down, and it just gets crazier. And maybe conference realignment this year. You play the season. Things, seeing Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, seeing Arizona and Arizona State in the Big 12, seeing no Pac-12, that's just going to be bizarre. But maybe this is the year it calms down. Do you get the sense that there are some calmer waters ahead, or will the chaos sort of just continue here?
I think we will have a pause on conference realignment and conferences getting larger for this season. I don't know that I feel comfortable saying that that's going to last longer than one season. I think we will continue to see lots of hand-wringing around what happens around NIL and collectives, what happens around the relationship between these schools, their athletic programs, and the players. Transfer portal, I think all of that will continue to kind of boil until there is frankly, some help from either the NCAA top down, where everybody raises their hand and said, yep, we're going to play by these rules. Or, I almost say, God forbid, we have to go to Congress and get Congress to do something, because in my mind, Congress has many, many, many more important things to be doing for our country than regulating college athletics. And we shouldn't have to go to them in order to get them to do that. So I think there will be a momentary pause, but I don't think the change is done. I mean, think about it, Mark. We have, in most professional leagues, you have about 30 to 32 teams playing, because generally that's the number of cities that can support, through commercial activity, a professional team, right? I don't know that college athletics and college football in particular would be limited to 30 or 32. Maybe the number is something like 70 or more. But I don't know that 130 college football teams who could theoretically all compete for a national championship makes sense, because they're all competing in the arms race around facilities. Your stadium's got to get better, locker rooms, all of those kinds of things. And now for players, because we know that there are dollars that have to find their way to players in order for these teams to be able to field great teams that can compete for a national championship. I just don't know that I'm convinced that 130 teams and institutions are going to be willing or able to do that.
No, and I do too, and especially if the employee thing happens, and you have another whole issue here and another whole podcast, what you do with Title IX, what you do with the smaller schools who don't want to play in the million, maybe $1 billion waters. So maybe we should just elect you to Congress and you can go and figure it all out. I would vote for you.
I thought we were friends. Don't wish that on me.
All right. Well, yes, you're still my distinguished guest. But hey, you have another event that we want to talk about, because another change. We mentioned the change in the times and the playoff game. But you have it's been called the kickoff luncheon the past couple years, but is there sort of a reboot going on here? This is always one of my favorite events, because I feel like it signals the start of the college football season.
Well, you're exactly right. Our annual Fiesta Bowl kickoff luncheon is being reimagined for this year and retooled. Not only are we changing venue from the Arizona Biltmore to the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess, but we are also renaming the event as the Arizona Bank and Trust Fiesta Sports Foundation Football Kickoff, presented by the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess. And really, you said it at the end there. This event is meant to signal the start of the football season every year. And what we decided was we don't want to just be another business luncheon that people come to and you have your chicken lunch and you listen to people talk and you network a little bit. Our competitive advantage, if I can put it that way, is that we are an organization that deals in college football and all the energy and passion that comes with college football. We need to lean into that. So what we are planning is an immersive experience that will mimic the experience that people have when they're at the stadium. We want you to feel college football when you're there. You're not just coming to a business luncheon and going back to work and going, well, I did that. You're going to feel something the same way you would going to a college football game. And we couldn't be more excited about that.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait. And I always do love the speaker there. So are you able to tell us who will be addressing the audience at the Scottsdale Princess to kick off the college football season here in Arizona?
I mean, you're probably going to get me in trouble with this, but I'm going to tell you, just since you called me.
Investigative reporting.
Yes. We are thrilled to be able to have none other than Arizona sports icon Larry Fitzgerald as our featured guest and speaker at that event. We couldn't be more happy. Larry has been one of the people who has helped me to integrate into this community, has been so kind to me since we first met, and is just a first-class human being. Was, as we all know, one of the best at his position in football, both college and the pros, and is a philanthropist of first note, a businessman of first note, and has such an interesting story to share with everyone who will be in attendance at that event. So we couldn't be happier, and helping also to bring attention to the fact that Larry is going into the College Football Hall of Fame at the end of this year. And what better way to get that started than to have him at our football kickoff event.
Yes, I can't wait to see the highlights from the University of Pittsburgh, and that doesn't seem like it was that long ago. And I actually just had a great idea. You should tell Larry this. We should send Larry to Congress. He could fix all this. He's the legend.
Larry probably could fix all this. I mean, Larry can do just about anything. So that wouldn't be bad. I mean, we will see. I don't know if Larry wants to do that either. He's doing a lot he's a very busy businessman, and he does so much good around this state and frankly around the country, around issues of breast cancer awareness and so many other causes that again, I'm thrilled and really overjoyed to have him participate in this. And I will tell people, get your tickets and come on out, because it's going to be a fantastic event. Very different than anything you've ever been to. Awesome.
And tell people how they can get their tickets. How can they attend the event with Larry Legend?
They can come to fiestabowl.org. And check us out and get all the information they need there in order to buy tickets. And if you happen to, which everybody knows a Yellow Jacket, if you know a Yellow Jacket and you're friends with somebody from our committee, call them. They'll help you to make the sale and make certain you're in the house for to celebrate to Larry and to celebrate football getting started again.
We can't wait. Is this your busiest year yet?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for me. I mean, it's year 2 for me. It's busy, but our challenge is to elevate everything that we currently do, to add more things that are of interest and compelling to folks across the state, and to make certain that we continue to be a valued business partner for college football for many years to come, so that we can continue to make the positive community impact across the state that we've done for the last 50 plus years.
Well, we appreciate your service. We appreciate your time and your perspective, and look forward to talking more college football with you as we get ready for the season and get ready for 2 bowl games here in the Valley of the Sports.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for having me.
This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.